Thank you. 안녕하세요. Can you hear me all right? Good. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Gerald Khor. I'm a business development responsible for Red Hat Mobile in Asia Pacific. Today we're going to talk about enterprise mobility, the first step towards digital transformation. Before we proceed further, I just want to take a moment to explain to you the Red Hat next generation architecture and how mobile relates to that. So this is next generation architecture from Red Hat for today and tomorrow's business model. It's made up of 3 interdependent pillars comprising of agile infrastructure on the left, integration and automation with mobile in the middle, and DevOps and rapid delivery on the left, sorry. All right, so in order to facilitate the next generation business, organizations need the next generation architecture and operational model. Red Hat has the solution for that to support the current business systems as well as to be ready for the future. In this session, we're going to focus on the thing in the middle, integration and automation with mobile. Before we proceed further, let's look at the market trends and the business opportunity mobile presents to organizations and enterprises. The world has gone mobile, and these pictures will probably be the best explanation on how things have changed in a very short time. The two pictures were taken at the same place, 8 years apart, and you can see the difference between the two where consumers like you and me has embraced consumer devices. Smartphones and tablets has become very common. And this is happening everywhere, right? And even in other countries like the emerging market, the device cost has reduced so much where consumer devices is becoming much more affordable. And a lot of consumers in emerging market, they actually bypass laptop, desktop, and go straight away to mobile. So the future generation is definitely mobile. Mobile is not about consumer game, but I'd like to use this example, the wildly successful Pokemon Go, to illustrate an example where mobile is perhaps the best way and the fastest way for you to engage your user, whether it's consumers, citizens, customers, business partners, employees. Mobile would be the best way for you to engage them, period. Mobile is part of the digital transformation. In fact, it is a key catalyst and enabler of digital transformation. This is a chart that probably best explains how things has progressed since the introduction of the first consumer-grade smartphones back in 2008. If you look at the chart, a few years after the introduction of smartphones, we come across this trend called consumerization. Essentially, is adoption of consumer-grade technology like smartphones, consumer-grade devices in enterprise. Back in those days, organizations were actually very reactive to the consumerization because a lot of IT officers were actually trying to prevent consumer devices that are less secure to enter the enterprise. But the popularity of consumer devices overruled that, and that's why organizations have to react to that and come up with very device-centric policies, BYOD, device management and things like that. Fast forward a few years, organizations become more proactive and embrace mobile enterprise. And this is where mobile was becoming the part of organization DNA. Mobile application project was very mission critical, integral part of organization doing business. And mobile became the business enablement. Everything was application centric. You probably heard of the term, there is an app for that, for the consumer side as well as for the enterprise side. Where we are today is in the digital enterprise era, where mobile is taking one step further, fusing in with IoTs, wearables, beacons, and is now becoming the key tools for digital transformation or business transformation. Everything is information-centric. All right? So that basically explains how mobile fills in to the digital transformation story. And regardless of whether the organization is responding to consumerization, having a mobile enterprise strategy, or already have a digital enterprise strategy, mobile would be relevant. Because regardless of whatever you do, mobile would be the preferred mode of engagement, preferred system of engagement for your user and stakeholders. Everyone is mobile workers. The definition of mobile workers is very loose, but if you were to spend substantial amount of time, or even a quarter of your time outside of the office, you are mobile workers. And everyone look forward to being mobile because you don't want to be restricted to the desk, relying on the corporate landline and things like that. People started using mobile devices to do calendaring and email, but we're seeing some customers and organizations using smartphones and tablets to carry out sales order taking, services, maintenance work, or even allowing employees to do self-service, such as expense claim, travel approval, travel requests. Companies that adopted mobile has actually benefited from the solutions, and the survey has shown that either improvement in productivity, efficiency, reduction in costs, and even introduction of new revenue stream coming from a new introduction of a mobile application. Our own customers actually have shared with us the mobile project that they have done, the realization of the business value, and the outcomes. One example, 8 hours to deploy a production-ready application to thousands of employees in the field throughout the country. This is a case with a customer in the rail transportation business where they had an emergency situation and they have to react to that and coming up with a mobile application to facilitate that emergency response exercise. Another customer of ours shared that they have seen improvement in the customer service, 10-point increase in the customer service. So mobile, when done right, can bring a lot of business outcomes, positive business outcomes, and the value. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a conversation of having, hey, I can build an app for that. It is actually a lot broader than that. The question is, we're not talking about one application, two applications. The demand has shown that there will be multiple use cases within organization. The bigger question would be, does your organization have the right mobile strategy, have the right architecture and infrastructure to be able to support the line of business, be it sales, service, operations, HR, finance, to introduce various mobile applications running on multiple set of devices, be it iOS, Android, BlackBerry, Windows, and adopting multiple development tools to facilitate application development. And doing all this while having secure backend integration with the ERP and CRM, and also maintaining a good user experience. Think about that. Do you have the right strategy with the right architecture to do all this? So those would be the challenges that we're going to discuss in the subsequent slides. Before we proceed, let me share with you some of the common needs and common use cases in mobile applications that are required for B2E, B2C, or B2B. Right? B2C, business to consumer, business to customers, business to employee, or business to business. So these are some of the common use cases, and regardless of which industries or industry verticals or market segment your organization is in, chances are you can easily find 5 to 10 use cases that you could adopt for your organization. However, the interesting part is organizations have actually started with B2C years ago, are now coming to pay attention to the B2E and the B2B use cases. Simple reason, there's only so many B2C applications that you need to offer to your customers and consumers, but there are needs within the organization, your employees, your business partners, that want to carry out the business, they want to carry out their work on mobile devices, right? Simple things as how many of you will probably have to spend half a day each month to file for expense claim, right? We travel, and then half a day each month we'll probably sit down in front of a computer screen and spend snapping pictures and filing it in our ERP and travel expense systems. It's very painful. You lost the ticket, you lost the receipt, and that's why your expenses is gone. It's your loss, and it's also a lot of productivity downtime. What if we can make use of a smartphone to snap the receipt and submit the receipt as and when we need it, or compile the receipt and submit at one go? All you need to do is snap a picture, enter the location, enter the reason for expenses, and there you go, right? So a lot of costs, a lot of improvement in productivity, efficiency, but more importantly is employees like you and me feel much more empowered and happier getting the things done rather than getting stuck. There are many other use cases, right? Salesforce automations, work orders, maintenance, approvals, invoicing, and things like that can be mobilized. The possibility is unlimited because when you have a mobile application, you have anytime, anywhere access. You also have location information as well as other contextual information, and that make the other possible happen. At this point, many of us will probably in the room and say, hey, I'm a good programmer. I can do all this code development on my own. And I can basically use any of these tools, do it yourself or DIY tools. Could be Cordova, Ionic, Android Studio, Xcode, and things like that. Well, it is possible. And it'll probably be possible if you were to do it for one app or 2 projects. But as the demand increases, if you were to do 5 projects, 10 projects, it doesn't really make sense, right? And if you are new and going to embark on mobile application project, I would actually urge you to consider some of these factors that I'm going to share. So what are the factors? We believe the demand will continue to be very strong for mobile application. And leading analysts, such as Gartner, they basically say the same. 5 to 1, that is the demand versus supply. There will be 5 times the demand, the IT capacity that we have today. Right? And that is happening next year, according to Gartner. Well, it may not necessarily be 2017, it could be 2018, right? But it may not necessarily be 5x, it could be 3x, 4x. But the fact is, demand is higher than supply. And what are you going to do about it? Well, if the demand is higher than supply, and IT organization and IT professional like you and me are not able to meet the demand, business user will probably look for alternative ways to do things. So they'll probably go out and get the app done without IT, and that increase the chance of having shadow IT, which is not good. The other way around would be you could basically get yourself involved by providing a platform to help them to be able to scale up, to speed up development, and even mobilize some of the casual developers. So according to Gartner, by 2020, 70% of the organization will adopt mobile application platform. And if you were to ask me, what's the number last year? The number last year was 33%. So you can see there is a high growth projected going forward, where a lot more adoption of mobile application platform will be required. The reason is demand is high, supply is low, and the factors such as skill set. You need specialized skill set to build mobile application, and those skill sets are hard to come by or they are fairly expensive. You probably need to scale, because if we are talking about 5, 10, 20, 50 mobile apps, you probably have to scale. So those are the reasons that is driving the adoption of mobile application platform. You may say, well, 2020 is probably slightly further away. Well, we're still talking about 4 years to go. What about the most critical factor for a successful mobile application project? UI and UX, user interface, user experience. Do you agree these are the critical factors Yeah? Can I have a show of hand? Yes, no? The rest, what are the factors, right? So, and if we agree, you and me, like consumers, we have gone through the experience of downloading an application and delete it 5 minutes later because the user experience, too bad, no, doesn't warrant a space in my phone. My phone has limited space. So user experience and UI are the most critical factors. Of course, you can talk about functionalities, capability of the apps and things like that, but it's all overshadowed by the UI and UX. But if UI, UX is so critical, why can't the project team pay attention and focus on UI, UX? The reason is UI, UX is just the tip of the iceberg. What is beneath the tip of the iceberg? That's where it's taking up a lot of time for the project team. Security. Sorry about the space, it should be Y coming here. Security. Security is always critical, right? Whether it's mobile project or any other IT project, but when it comes to mobile, it becomes a lot more critical because when we talk about enterprise corporate data, from a corporate data network, from a secure environment, moving to a mobile device that can get lost over a public network, so security always a concern. Integration, back-end integration with an ERP system, with an SAP system, with some proprietary systems, getting the right set of data to the right device, to the right user is always a challenge. Even if you could overcome the challenge, the other challenge with integration of backend is how do you handle the workload or the traffic from mobile coming back to the enterprise systems. Enterprise systems, ERP, CRMs, or whatever other backend systems are generally at a peak load. All right, you size up the server to handle the workload that is expected, but now you open up for mobile, suddenly you have 10 times increase in traffic. Take, for example, when a bank introduces mobile banking application, they typically see 10 times or more increase in traffic to the core banking systems. Why? Because people do more transactions? No. Because people get the convenience of a mobile where now they can check my bank balance every day. Hey, what's my bank balance? What's my bank balance? And suddenly you have increase in traffic for no reason, but that's the fact, right? The banks are facing that. So this is not just about getting the data in and out, but managing the data workload. How do you overcome that? Maybe caching. Put the data cache in the mobile application platform so that you do not have to direct traffic, every one of them, to the core banking systems. These are some of the examples. There are many other challenges. So if you were to distribute the app to an employee, private app store, not a public app store. Scalability, fragmentations, push notification, analytics, so on and so forth. So with all this said, you'll realize why the project team couldn't spend time on UI and UX. But what if all of this, or most of this, could be handled by a platform, provided the capability out of the box with the mobile application platform. So you can now switch the number to 70% focusing on UI and UX. And the user will be happy, you get a better engagement, you get a better stickiness. Mobile application, however, is not just about development. We just talk about design development as part of the tip of the iceberg thing. Right? Obviously, this is critical. You want to enable developers to develop the app. Integration, we spoke about it. What about building the app? You know, building the app using special hardware such as MacBook and Xcode if you're building an iOS application. If you're building other application, you probably have less restriction, but definitely a MacBook and Xcode is required for iOS app. What about making use of the platform to build the app for you as part of the source code, taking the source code and turn it into a binary, and you do not need to maintain or invest in specialized hardware. This is becoming more critical as you introduce this to casual developers. You want to be able to scale up, you want to get more people to develop app for you, and some of the casual developers may not necessarily be given a specialized hardware like MacBook, and that's where the build service come in. What about testing? Testing could take 10% of time, 50% of time, depending on how complex is the testing. Testing itself is a big challenge. And if you were to put in place best practices, and make use of some automation tools at Jenkins and get the automation tool to work with mobile application platform that will streamline the testing a lot better. Once you test it, you want to push the app out, you want to deploy the app. This is where an external app could go on a public app store, but in-house app for employees only or for business partner only, you may want to put it in a private app store. All right, so a mobile application platform that comes with a private app store will be very handy for you. Deployment is also about DevOps and application lifecycle management, right? So you have a mobile project, each of the mobile project will probably have 4 different environments, from dev to test to QA to production. How do you manage the entire application lifecycle, and how do you streamline the DevOps? Because today, face it, nobody will give you 6 months to do a mobile project. It's going to be 6 weeks or even less. So within this 6 weeks, how are you going to make sure all your environments are ready? And sometimes getting machines and installing OS and installing DB will probably take you a couple of weeks. With a mobile application platform that is supported by a cloud container, supported by a container platform like OpenShift, you now have containerized technology for you to manage DevOps. So instead of making copies of VM, you can basically trigger the build to trigger a creation of a new container that will provide a test environment for you, or provide a QA environment for you, or provide a production environment for you, just at a click of a button. Once all this is done, then you come to a day-to-day operation, manage it, run it, and also gathering data, feedback, so that you get basically a full visibility of who is using what, and analytics would also be very powerful when it comes to troubleshooting. All right? It's good that you get the app out, but once the user call out for support, how do you know where the problem is? So analytics, as part of the mobile application platform, will give you the best of view, because mobile application platform, remember, sits between the devices and the backend. And they will know what is the traffic going on between the two. So that's why I can give you a visibility on the troubleshooting, the bottlenecks and things like that. Feedback also help you to improve the next version, the next iteration, and if you do this for all the projects, you get consistency, you have a common foundation, and it can even become a best practice, whether you do it in-house or you outsource the application to external parties. All the developers and all the project team can follow the same process. So what is a mobile application platform? As I mentioned, in a very simplistic view, mobile application platform sits between the back office systems, the ERP, the CRM, in a protected environment, in a secure environment, with the devices out in the public network, Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, 5G. And mobile application platform typically provide a common set of services: synchronization, security, storage, analytics, app dev, business logic, so on and so forth. Red Hat has a mobile application platform. We call it RHMAP, Red Hat Mobile Application Platform. It basically accelerates the development of mobile project by providing a full stack collaborative development where you can allow front-end developers to work with back-end developers, in-house developers to work with external developers, and runtime environment with secure integration and ready-to-use back-end systems. It is a very long sentence. I'll explain to you how this is done in a more graphical manner. First of all, we focus on 4 main things. We provide support for different development tools. So we give the developers a choice to use development tools that they're most comfortable with, whether it's Xcode, Android Studio, Ionic. By all means, use those tools. And by supporting developers with the right set of tools, it means they can continue to have productivity without having to learn new skills. Red Hat Mobile Application Platform runs on OpenShift container platform, and therefore we get DevOps with container and cloud scale orchestration out of the box. We also have powerful microservices. You heard of the previous speaker talk about microservices. We make use of microservices architecture. So there is a push notification microservice, there's a synchronization service, there's another microservice for something else. Very scalable, very nimble. And we also provide API-driven and mobile optimized backend services. What it means is basically a bunch of connectors for you to hook up with SAP ERP, SharePoint, Oracle, or other DBs and other backend services. All right? So in a very graphical manner, let me walk you through how Red Hat Mobile Application Platform helps. 4 steps. Build the application using the tools that we provide or using your preferred tools. We provide rapid application development tools called Form Builder, where it's drag and drop, and there's minimum code writing required. And this is ideal for casual developers, citizen developers that want to build simple application. For example, take a paper form, use this tool, and you can churn out a mobile application within hours. If you prefer the professional developers, prefer professional development tools, bring your own tools. Xcode, Android Studio, Ionic, PhoneGap, you name it, we probably have support for it. Next, the application connects to a range of mobile backend services, such as push notification, synchronization, authentication, so on and so forth, and integrate with backend systems such as Salesforce, Oracle, through the ready-made connectors. If we do not have the connectors, you can go and download, because we make use of Node.js, and the NPM community itself has 250,000 packages publicly available. 1% of it could be very good quality packages, and you probably can find an SAP connector, Oracle connectors, or any of those common connectors. So instead of rewriting everything, you can leverage what is already available. We also provide a build farm service where, for example, you take the source code and you churn out the binary IPA, APK files for the different devices. Once the app is built, it can be distributed. So it can be distributed to a public app store as per normal, or the private app store through Red Hat Mobile Application Platform's private app store. So example of the app store look exactly like a private app store. Look exactly like a public app store, but this is for in-house employees only. All right? So you can basically assign the app based on user grouping and things like that. Last but not least, the mobile application platform allows multiple teams to collaborate. This is getting very critical because mobile application project is no longer one main team. It's going to be maybe an 8-man team, 2 pizza, or slightly bigger, slightly smaller. The key is allowing front-end development to work with back-end developers, allowing in-house developers to work with external developers. How we do that? We actually have very fine-grained control of a system administration tool, so you can allow developers with certain level of authorization, read, write, view only, and things like that. I mentioned about DevOps, application lifecycle. This is how we do DevOps. Basically, you can promote a development environment to test by just a click of a button, and the container will be triggered, the image will be copied, and you, voila, have the test environment ready or have the production environment ready. Just a click of a button. So if you do it consistently, you basically can repeat it for all projects, for multiple projects, and you can have a best practice, you can have a common foundation for all your needs. We also provide mobile application workforce management, what we call a sample application or sample modules, where it's a collection of application, sample application, which is a portal application plus a mobile application. These are open source projects. Workforce management allows you to manage work orders by assigning work orders, scheduling the work orders, dispatching the work orders, and get the work orders down to the device where the technician can complete the work orders and synchronize back. The open source project is called Raincatcher. If you go fithenry.org, you'll find the open source project available. So workforce management sample application like this will get you started much more quicker rather than building everything from ground up. It leverages the synchronization, caching capability, push notification capability from the Red Hat Mobile Application Platform. So some case studies and business help come before we talk about This is the customers that I mentioned, 8 hours to get an application out. They started with some small number of use cases, like 4 or 5 use cases for the preventive maintenance, creating application for the engineers to carry out work. After a while, they actually accumulated 40 applications on a single Red Hat Mobile Application Platform. and distribute it to 22,000 employees, connecting to more than 200 backend systems. They essentially has mastered the mobile application platform. They have put in place the strategy, they have the architecture, they can now churn out application like an application factory, although they are a railway company, right? And the application factory capability is what exactly helped them back in 2014, when the country was flooded after a thunderstorm, and most of the country's railway track was either washed out or flooded, and they have to figure out how bad is the damage because the whole transportation network is down. So they quickly come together to develop application so that an engineer can use the application with the location information, taking a picture and report on how bad is the damage, so that the HQ can decide how to allocate the repair resources. Without a platform, it will not be possible, because 8 hours just to get a development server up and running will probably take you 8 hours. With the platform in place, with the DevOps, with the build service, with the rapid application development tools, this become possible. We also work with banks such as Royal Bank of Scotland. They basically adopt Red Hat mobile application as well as the container platform as the core for the new innovation and entrepreneurship technology solution center. Essentially, it's a way for the bank to collaborate with external developers, the fintech community, run hackathons, run trials, and things like that. And the idea is to enable them to get the best ideas to the hand of the customer faster, cheaper. And last but not least, another case study. This is a company from Europe called SYSTEMLINK. I find that interesting because this is where I talk about the digital enterprise era, mobile with IoT, and this is exactly mobile with IoT, where they make use of Red Hat mobile application platform to talk to the IoT-enabled heating device, where it is, storing of hot water, and you can basically remotely control to determine how much water you want to heat and what's the temperature. And with the consumer, using the app that is built on Red Hat mobile application platform to remotely control, so that when you reach home, you know there is enough hot water for the whole family, and yet you can minimize the energy bill. So why Red Hat mobile? Obviously, we are leader in open source, and we acquired a company called FitHenry in October 2014, almost exactly 2 years earlier, and rename it to Red Hat mobile application platform. We keep the name FitHenry as the open source upstream project. So if you go fithenry.org, you'll find full information about that. We are also recognized as the leader according to Forrester in the Forrester's Wave report for mobile. So Red Hat mobile application platform is a platform that you can use to enable you to innovate quickly, achieving your digital transformation strategy so that you can focus on the business outcome, not everything below the surface, below the tip of the iceberg. We have world-class cloud expertise to help you keep the system up and running. It is built on modular architecture, container. It has Node.js as a backend, reusable mobile backend as a service, and I mentioned about NPM, where there are 250 public packages where you could find the useful one, import it, don't have to reinvent the view. We have the cloud binary service where you can basically leverage the service instead of giving a MacBook for every developer, which could probably be a very costly investment. And we enable DevOps with good application lifecycle management where you can manage the entire lifecycle without having to worry about where's my VM. Everything can be fired up in a container manner. Right? And we have rapid mobile application development tools to enable the casual developers. Remember, the demand for mobile application is going to increase a lot, 5 times the capacity. So it's perhaps time for you to mobilize the casual developers to build simple application. Last but not least, flexible deployment options for you to get started on the cloud or on-premise running an OpenShift container platform. So if you're interested, come talk to us. We can do mobile discovery session. We can discuss about what are the business needs, business drivers, use cases. We can identify the right technology, the right solutions for you, and also even charting a roadmap to achieving those business needs together. Thank you for your attention. 감사합니다.